Hello everyone and welcome to the very first World of Tanks review video in my channel. It really surprises me that it took me this long to post my very first ever World of Tanks review video, which was, the main purpose really of this channel. I've been playing World of Tanks for the past, I don't know, 10 years. Not 10 years, 7 years. And today we're going to be doing a review, and I'm only doing this because I actually managed to ace the ISM again yesterday, and that was such a good battle. You'll see it in the replay later, which will be in this video. So the ISM, what is there to look at in the ISM? First thing first, let's look at the vehicle parameters. 390 alpha damage. That's a very normal 122 millimeter damage at tier 8. The IS-3 has the same alpha damage, so no, there's nothing really wrong there, except for the fact that it does seem like it's not an upgrade from the tier 7, which is the tier 7 upgrade is the IS, and this thing also has the same alpha damage, so that might be a little bit disencouraging that you're going up to tier 8 with basically the same damage, but you do get 212 millimeters of penetration, and 212 millimeters of penetration, that's actually not that good. It's not that good. In fact, let's look at the gold rounds. The gold rounds on this thing has 240 penetration. That is not good as well. 240. The IS-3 has 225 on its normal rounds. So this tank is really bad in terms of gun penetration. But let's look at other stats. This thing can shoot 6.1 rounds per minute, yeah, which gives this thing a reload of 9.83 seconds. Now, 9.83 seconds for a heavy tank that does 390 alpha, that is just a dream. It has a -5 gun depression, which is another issue for this tank, especially since it's a rear turreted tank. So, if you're fighting on the ridge line, it's really going to be a big disadvantage for you in this tank. But it does have good gun elevation values at 20, so you can shoot up at people who are crossing to shoot you or something. 2.8 seconds aiming time, that is, quite okay as well. I mean, it's almost 3 seconds. But, for 390 alpha, I'll take the 2.8 second aiming time. 0.39 dispersion, that is actually quite good for a 122 millimeter in my opinion. It's certainly better than the IS, which has 0.44. But then again, these things are Russian tanks. They don't need to aim. The shells are guided by the hand of Stalin, which comes out from its grave when you shoot. So, you do have the RNG, you do have Stalin. The ISM is a good tank. It's a good tank. Survivability, 1500 hit points, that is actually okay. It's not terrible. 130 millimeters of frontal hull armor. Don't be fooled though. It might be 130, but it's actually more than that if you angle it properly. And since you're a retarded tank, if you know how to side scrape, basically, just showing the side of your tank at an angle, I mean, this thing, with its 120 millimeters of side armor, is a monster. And the turret is, it's no joke as well. 250 on the front of the turret, you are going to be bouncing people. Basically, as long as they don't shoot high explosive on you. So this thing does win hands down in terms of survivability. Let's look at the mobility though. 750 horsepower, 13.49 specific power ratio. That's a bit low, but you would see in the replay this thing can actually accelerate, which is important. Top speed is 35. I mean, in a heavy tank, you don't really care much about the top speed, especially if you're talking about highly armored tanks like the ISM. You don't really need the speed, because you'll probably be stuck in one flank most of the time, and you'll just be brawling it out. it's only really detrimental if the enemy team is capturing the base and you need to defend, and that's when the tank really has the need, really needs that top speed. But this thing has armor, and for a tank that has armor, it can go 35. That's good enough. That's good enough. That is really good enough. Concealment, we don't even have to talk about concealment. This thing has no concealment. And that is me running this tank with, camo. But I only really run it with camo because, it looks better than without the camo. I mean, any tank with camo just looks better. Spotting wise, this thing has 259 view range, so you are as blind as a bat. You won't see anything, so you better hope that you have good scouts or you're gonna be outspotted, especially with bad camo. So yeah, this tank. The grind in this tank is not that bad, I think. I mean, you do have to use the IS gun, but, this gun is really no better. The only thing better about this gun is that you shoot faster and you have a little bit more penetration, which, to be honest, is not going to help you. I mean, 212, that thing is actually quite good on tanks like the AMX CDC and the Panzer 58 Muts, but those are medium tanks. They can flank, so it's easy for them to get side shots. In the ISM, you're probably going to be more on face-to-face combat, face-to-face brawling. So it's not really going to help you if you run into a VK101 in some city map. And let's be real, a lot of the maps in the game now are corridor based, so you're not really going to be flanking anyone in the ISM. So yeah, that is going to be a problem, especially with 240 of APCR penetration. That thing will barely guarantee a penetration on the VK100, and maybe even the OHO. I mean, the OHO, that thing is high explosive. That thing has a derp gun. So that's going to be a very big problem when you're doing that. So, what equipment do I run? Well, I am a cheap player. I don't really spend, I don't even have enough credits, but I don't spend too much credits on equipment. I use the, I just run the usual ones. I have a gun, I have an improved ventilation, just to add that 6% to all crew skills, so that, helps with the gun reload and everything, helps with the dispersion as well, but not that much. But as you can see, it really helps to shave down a little bit. And we also have a gun rammer. Without the gun rammer, I think I would have a 10-second reload. I'd rather have a 9-second reload than this thing. Really makes this thing very competitive. I mean, 9.83 seconds on a tier 8 heavy tank is very competitive. Crew-wise, I'm still on my first skill. I'm still grinding out for the brothers in arms. So, once we get that, the reload speed is going to fall a little bit more. So, it's going to become more and more competitive. So, let's look into some replay. And yeah, let's look into the replay and see how this tank performs. The replay is going to be good. Trust me, the replay is going to be good. I'm not going to spoil it anymore. I'll leave you all to watch. Have fun. Okay, so here we are right now. We are in Sand River, and we have a very good matchmaking. Half of the enemy team is basically heavy tanks. There are 2 medium tanks, 3 tank destroyers, and 2 light tanks. What makes this team, matchmaking really good is that there is no artillery. So, that means we can actually play like a true heavy tank. So, on Sand River, there's really a lot of places you can go to. You can go to the north, you can go to the center, which is where I'll be going in this map. But there's also the ravine and the southern part. Now, if there's no artillery, you might as well go to the place where I'm going, because it's a very, very strong location if you have control over that. So right here you can really see the mobility of the ISM. Going up hills, it's not the fastest, but it does, it is maneuverable. That is a fact. You can actually drive it So, over here, we're driving to the center. As you can see, the enemy team has the same idea. And oh, look at that dirty shot. That was a really dirty shot on the ISM. The gun is reliable. Then again, it is a Russian tank, so it does have, very questionable RNG. If you've been playing World of Tanks, I mean, that's the running joke. I mean, look at this. And by the way, I'm playing with 200 ping, so I'm actually playing with latency in this battle. So it really showcases this tank. Look at that. How did I hit that is, a different question all along. So over here you can see that, the tank can still be played even though it has very, very little gun depression. Although, as you can see, I am exposing myself a lot here. So yeah, I bounced it. I missed the T-77, but I hit the Bisante who was crossing behind him. So that was really lucky. So right now, we have an issue. Nobody went north to control, so now we have the IS-22 up there shooting down on us later on. The armor in this thing is really good. As you can see, it was able to bounce off both the Bisante and the Charioteer, who was shooting down on me. I mean, they're shooting down on me. This thing has incredible armor, and the Charioteer did a very big mistake there. He was being too aggressive, and he didn't have armor. Now we're gonna shoot his T-28, and mind you, this thing has 212 millimeters of gun penetration. It's not the highest penetration, and it's actually, this is what makes the ISM a little bit not competitive at this tier. It's just the bad penetration values. 212 is really low for a heavy tank. Of course, you can say this is countered by the fact that it has one of the best armor at tier 8. But to be honest, let's be real, who cares about armor nowadays? I mean, everyone is just shooting gold rounds. However, this thing is also good at bouncing off gold rounds actually, so there might be actually a point that this thing actually does have good armor. So right now the IS-6 is behind us, and look at that, we bounced him, which appears to have hit our turret. Hits our turret. So that was very lucky. We managed to react, and the light tank puts a shell behind us, but that's alright, we'll take that hit. Now this IS-6 is being swarmed. There's a light tank, there's me, there's this Emil, and I'm gonna shoot him in the turret. This gun is very accurate for 122mm, and mind you, the equipment I'm running, vents and gun rammer, this thing can reload in as fast as 9.83 seconds, which is really good for tier 8 standards, especially if you're doing 390 alpha per shot. So right now this is a very awkward battle. Me and the IS-6 don't really have the gun depression to shoot at one another, but look at that. The IS-6 is shooting APCR, and we're bouncing him. So I take my time, I shoot him, he bounces off again. This thing has incredible armor, to be honest. Very, very incredible armor. Now you can see I get a little bit greedy here, and this is where everything goes south in this replay. I thought the enemy team wouldn't react to me pushing this way, but look, the Bisante's there, and that's the end of me, basically. I managed to put one last shot and get a high caliber medal, and there we go, we're dead. Just like that. We got killed by the T-77. They reacted to us accordingly, which is, good on the enemy team. I mean, they could have just stayed here and I would have been able to go around them and basically flank them, but they reacted, they saw me coming, and that was the end of me. And that light tank, that WC-132 rams the Bisante, who was basically down to double-digit health. And yeah, there was a major heartbreak. This was such a nice, this was such a good battle, to be honest. There was no artillery. It was very, very favorable matchmaking for us. And right now our team is, trying their best to win. The Renegade does a very weird move here. He tries to shoot the IS-22. It's not the best position. I mean, you don't really want to show your size in the Renegade. The armor is in the turret. The sides and rear of this tank is basically, doesn't really have any protection. Now, what really won us the game here is the fact that the Bisante bounced off. Okay, he didn't bounce off, but he only did a crit on one of his hits, which is, that really helped us win this battle, because this will give the Pantera basically the advantage. He has an auto reloader. So now, the only way we can win this battle is if the Pantera goes to cap and doesn't get interrupted, or he goes after the IS-22, and he plays, he does the most logical thing, which is to go after the IS-22, who was, I think, left on very low health. And judging that this guy has an auto-reloader, he has the advantage over the IS-2. I mean, the IS-2 has a double-barreled gun, so he can technically shoot the Pantera twice and still win the battle, but the Pantera has better gun handling, it has the auto-reloader, and, it is a medium tank, so, it can easily run away from an unfavorable position or circumstance. So right now the Pantera is chasing down the IS-2, and he's like, where is the IS-2? Where has he gone to? Now the Pantera does a very, very risky move here, crossing out in the open. If I was him, I would have gone the full round just in case, because you wouldn't really know. The IS-2 could be in the center, he could be camping around here, who knows really. But he does make a very interesting, he does make, he tries to be cautious. That's the word. He tries to be cautious. So you can see him going through ridge lines, and oh, there's the IS-2. He's down to 95 health, so it's really, the Pantera can have this in the bag if he's able to shoot him once the IS-2 misses. I think he shot a double. No, that was a single. It sounded like a double shot. Actually, I'm not really sure whether it was a double shot. Yeah, it was a single shot, and now the IS-2 is reloading. And the Pantera just has to aim and aim and aim, and there we go. He wins. But to be honest, this battle was very, very favorable for us. There was no artillery. If there was artillery, it would have changed how we have to play this map, because if we went to where we were at C7, we would have been rained on by artillery, and it's not going to be fun. It's not fun being stunned every 20 odd seconds. So yeah, let's go to the post-game stats, and let's see how we how we performed in this battle. So here's the post-game stats. As you can see, that was a master race battle for us. We were, we completed first in team experience and first in damage in the entire team. And that is really just it. If you have really good matchmaking in this tank and you are in a battle and there's no artillery, the ISM is such a formidable opponent. Master race, we got high caliber. We managed to sneak the high caliber in the end before the Bisante and T-77 basically double ganged on us. And yeah, 2000 base XP with a premium account. But even without a premium account, 1240 is really good experience already. And when we go and look into the team, you can really see we did easily almost twice as much as the Emil, which was also a really good player. He actually helped us to kill that IS-6. He also helped to turn around. I was actually surprised he turned around. I thought they would ignore the IS-6 because there were better tanks to shoot at in the north, which we ignored. But the IS-6, we had to kill the IS-6. I mean, we can't have the IS-6 behind us at that point. And the Bisante and the enemy team also had a really good battle. I basically fed myself to him. I was playing too aggressively at the end there, and it was really just because I got super overconfident. I thought I could go around really, and I was wrong. I mean, the Bisonte and the T-77 obviously had the upper hand as well. They had gun depression, so when they were crossing over the ridge line, it was easy for them to just drop rounds on me. Now, I didn't shoot a single gold round in this tank, not a single APCR. And the 212 millimeters of penetration, if you are in a tier 8 battle, is actually very, very. It's not that bad actually. It's okay. And with a premium account, I easily made about 42,000 credits. Although there is the holiday ops bonus, but if we remove that 42,000, I would have made about 34,000 credits, which is good. Without a premium account, that would have been that would have been 10,000 credits, easy. So yeah, this tank is really good, and we can see here we actually managed to bounce off 1,530, and we weren't even trying to bounce. In the replay, I was being very, very aggressive already. I was exposing my tank because I didn't have the gun depression to shoot over the ridge line. But they were still able. I was still able to bounce. Especially that point where the charioteer and the Bisonte, they have the gun depression to shoot down on me. But we were able to bounce them off by doing very slight adjustments to our angling. And this tank is really just a monster in terms of armor at tier 8. To be honest, I really think the ISM is one of the most underrated tank in the game. A lot of people, they'll say this tank isn't that great because bad gun depression, bad gun penetration values. I mean, to be honest, 212 is a bit bad once you get into tier 9 and tier 10 battles, especially. And you do get into tier 9 and tier 10 battles a lot, so once you made a type 4 heavy or even a type 5 heavy at tier 10, it's basically end of the road for you. Unless you shoot gold, that changes everything, but you don't really want to shoot gold that much. It doesn't really help you earn credits, but of course, if you're not here to earn credits, you're here to, do marks of excellence, then yeah, by all means, shoot gold rounds. But I've never shot gold rounds in this tank, and in this battle we were able to get to 88.4% on the marks of excellence. So yeah, it is doable. It's just really, really difficult. So the whole game was a 4,671 combined damage. I think that was really good. And when I played this battle, it was in the evening, and I was actually having a really bad, really, really bad roll before that. I was my win rate was basically in a free fall, and the night I played this tank, especially with the Object 705, which I will do a review on in the future. Yeah, the ISM is a good tank. It's just it's just a very, how do I put it? It's a very, very, it's a tank that really you have to be very active in. It's not a tank where you just go into one flank and then brawl it out. This tank, you have to be someone who has really good situational awareness. You must know where to go. You must know where the where the enemies are coming from, and that's the only way you can really succeed in this tank. This tank isn't the fastest, but it does have good enough mobility. It is able to turn. It does have good terrain resistances, especially in hard terrain. This thing can really shoot off. Relative to its armor, actually, it has good armor, and it can do that. So that's good, actually. So yeah, ISM. It's a tank I would recommend, but if you're gonna play this tank, you have to be prepared to aim for weak spots. The gun handling does allow for that, but 212 millimeters of penetration is still very iffy at tier 8. The only other tank that has worse penetration than this is the T69, and let's be honest, the T69, that thing with 181 millimeters of penetration, you don't even have to talk about that tank. So that is the ISM review. It is a good tank. It's just not for everyone, I guess, but it is a good tank. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd actually give this tank an 8. It is fun, especially when you bounce people off with your armor. It's actually really fun, and being a rear turreted tank, you can easily side scrape, and that basically just increases your chance of survival in this tank. So I hope you enjoyed this review. The ISM is really a fun tank. I've played about 120 something battles in it, and it never fails to amaze me, despite having almost no gun depression. So yeah, thanks for watching, and maybe in the next video, who knows? I don't really know what I'll be reviewing. It could be the 705. I need to play this a little bit more so that I get the gist of this tank. But the 705 is basically just a great upgrade from the ISM. You get a gun that actually penetrates. You get a tank that's actually a bit more maneuverable, and you get rounded. You get rounded turret and all that, which is harder to penetrate. So yeah, that's the ISM review. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.